All right, Jeff Zimmerman here. I'm with Giovani Santillan. Got a big fight back in the ring. What is it, May 18th?
May
Back in
18th.
back in your hometown of San Diego against another undefeated guy, former amateur star Brian Norman. How you doing? How you doing, Giovanni?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I'm excited. May 18th, we're back in San Diego, back in the ring against another good opponent.
Yeah, man. And San Diego's the world's finest city. I went to school there, man.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, San Diego State many years ago. But I'm very jealous that you live in San Diego.
Yeah, I love it here, man. I love it.
But listen, before we get into the big fight, you don't get a lot of people out of San Diego. Terry Norris is probably the biggest name that I can think of. But talk about how a guy growing up in the greatest city in the world gets into the sport of boxing.
Man, I started boxing when I was 8 years old. My dad, he took me to a gym, a local gym back from where the area I used to live in. And it just became a daily thing for me. We just started going every day. I tried soccer, I tried karate, but none of that really got my interest. And once I started boxing, I didn't stop. I kept going every day.
Yeah, and now you're the WBO number one welterweight contender in the world. I mean, it's quite a journey.
A long journey, but still a lot to do in this sport. My main goal is to become world champion, and I think we're heading in the right direction.
Yeah, and real quick, because everybody's asking about it, and they're not far from your weight class. Actually, you could argue one was a welterweight that night. First thoughts, Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney. Were you shocked, surprised like the rest of the world?
That was a good fight, a good performance by Ryan. I was a little bit surprised. Just I think all the social media stuff that was going on, but I guess he fooled a lot of us. He showed up prepared, and he did what he had to do. And he gave a great performance that night.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Now I know you got kind of your feet wet. You've had fights in your hometown at
Yeah.
Pechanga, but the DoubleTree in Ontario is like a fighting ground for up and coming fighters. Just talk about that experience and kind of going through working, kind of the club shows, and now obviously you're with arguably the best promoter in the world in Top Rank.
Yeah, we fought a lot at the DoubleTree, and that's where I learned a lot. Great experience. That's where I gained a lot of my pro experience. But I got to the point where I couldn't wait to get an opportunity like this to work with a promoter like Top Rank and get on these big shows, fight on ESPN. Because I think that's one thing I've been missing is the exposure. And so them giving me the platform is been all I needed. So I'm excited. I'm going to make the most out of these opportunities that I'm getting.
Yeah, and let's talk about it. I mean, you fought Antonio DeMarco in 2020, former world champion. Was that your breakout fight? Just
That was my first fight with Top Rank.
okay, but did that fight kind of put you on the map, beating someone of that caliber?
I don't know if it did too much, to be honest. Sorry, um sorry, I got a call. I don't know if it did too much. That fight was a difficult fight for me. I went into that with an injury and a couple other things going on. It was during the pandemic. Um, Caught a little bit off guard, when I took that fight, but that fight definitely I gained a lot from it though. I gained a lot of experience, so over the year after that is when we made my dad and I the transition to start training with Robert Garcia, and I think that's when my career and has taken off, when I've really made big improvements, in my game.
Yeah, speaking of Robert Garcia, I just interviewed him. I think it was Monday, this past week or so, right after the Ryan Garcia fight, and then right
Right.
before the big weekend in Fresno. What is it like being in camp with Robert and all these other great fighters?
Oh man, it's great. This is what I think I've needed this in my whole career, as a professional. Um like just this month, and last month, getting to prepare next to great fighters like Jose Ramirez, Virgil Ortiz, you got Lindolfo, Ray Murataya. and a lot of other younger guys that are coming up, you know, that people haven't seen yet, but they're coming up, and I get to get in the ring with these guys and spar with them frequently, and I think that's what's been, you know, really making me level up, to be honest.
Yeah, what is it like getting in there with Virgil and Jose specifically? Just, I mean, Virgil obviously is a knockout artist.
Yeah, you know, I've only got to spar him one time back in 2021, you know, and I think he had left after that, you know, but now he came back to Robert Garcia. But I have gone in the ring with Jose Ramirez plenty of times, and it's great working with these guys, man. I'm gained a lot of experience, and it gives me that confidence to know that I'm doing very well.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. But listen, man, you know, you're big. Well, after DeMarco, your fight against Alexis Rocha, you were the underdog in that fight, right?
Yeah,
Rocha was the WBO #1 contender for Bud Crawford's title. And, you know, to his credit, he's like, I don't want to wait around for him and Spence. I want to stay active. Sometimes be careful what you wish for, I guess. But you came in there and, you know, just maybe like Ryan Garcia did last weekend, shocked the boxing world. Talk
yeah.
about talk about that fighting going into it. And I mean, you must have known going in that you felt good and prepared and ready to do what you did.
Yeah, you know, I had fought in July, and I wanted to stay busy. So I'm glad that that fight happened in October, just a few months after. I was able to stay in camp, stay busy, get right back to sparring, and I think that helped me, you know, align my performance. You know, staying sharp. You know, activity is huge. You know, in a boxer's career, I think you got to stay active. You got so, man, if I could fight 2, 3 times a year, 3 times, I would love it. But going into that fight, man, it's a fight that I asked my manager, hey, is there a possibility to make this happen? And a week later, he called me, and he was able to get that fight going. And I appreciate that they, you know, Alexis Rocha and Golden Boy took that fight. Um, I really, yeah, I went in there as a underdog, so they felt that they felt confident that they would win. But I knew what I could do. You know, I knew what I'm capable of, and sometimes, you know, being an underdog, it just fuels something in you. You know, it gets something, a different part of you going, and I think that's what happened. You know, me going in there, and people thinking that I'm just going in there to lay down and take a loss or something. I was not gonna let that happen.
Do you think Rocha overlooked you, Giovanni?
I don't know. I think maybe I'm not sure if he did. Um, I just feel that right away in the first round, I could tell, you know what, I think I'm getting in his head already. I think I landed some shots in this first round that are bothering him already.
Yeah, now you could argue maybe you sit in that bird seat, you know, position that he was in, right? You kind of
Yeah.
took over the #1 slot. Now you got a guy, Brian Norman, who's undefeated, amateur star, only 23 years old. I, you know, based on your experience, I know you're not overlooking him, but what do you have to worry about with him in the ring?
You know, he seems to be an aggressive fighter, but can also use his legs. You know, I've seen him in some fights move around a little bit more, box a little more, but then he also knows how to put the pressure on, it seems like. So I'm expecting a fight where he's going to try to come out aggressive, try to come out fast, you know. And if he ends up choosing to box a little more, you know, I'm ready for that as well.
Now let's talk about your weight class. You know, maybe a year or so ago, it was arguably the best weight class, you know, out there with Spence and Crawford. You had Boots in there. Virgil Ortiz was in there for a little bit. A lot of those guys are moving up to 154, kind of open things up. Where do you see where do you fit in to the best at 147?
I think I'm one of the best for sure. But I know that you know, a lot of those 140 pounders are going to be coming up pretty soon. So I can't wait because there's going to be some big names coming up to 147 pretty soon too. So those are fights that I'm looking forward to.
When do you expect to get that title shot? You know, assuming everything goes as planned, May 18th. When do you hope to get that title shot?
This year, I want it this year. I don't want to wait any longer. I want that opportunity to come this year. I feel like I deserve to get that opportunity this year. But first things first, I gotta, you know, focus on May 18th, right? I gotta get that win. That's number one focus right now. But I know that getting that, you know, giving a great performance, they can't deny me my opportunity.
Yeah, you talk about those 140 guys moving up. You got Teofimo there. Ryan Garcia is pretty much stated he's not going back down to 140.
Yeah.
Devin Haney, we'll see what he ends up doing. Matisse, I mean, would you who would you like to fight one of those guys just like kind of in a super fight?
I would love to, man. I would love to get those fights. They get me excited just thinking about getting those fights, man. Because I mean, all of those guys, they're. I'm pretty sure that they Devin Haney, he when he fought Regis, he rehydrated all the way up to 165. So I'm sure these guys are struggling to stay at 140. I know that they're all going to make that move up soon.
Yeah, no doubt. Who would you like first out of those guys?
I would like Ryan Garcia first.
Wow. Arguably the face of boxing now after that performance.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
And listen, we'll get you rolling here with Giovani Santillan. Got another big fight coming up in his hometown of San Diego against another undefeated guy, Brian Norman, May 18th. Is 147? You're 32, right? So a little bit older than a lot of these guys. Is 147 kind of the place you plan to stay for the rest of your career, or what's kind of that career trek?
I don't know if I'll stay here the rest of my career, but I definitely want to stay here, get a world title, defend that world title, go for a unification at some point, and then maybe move up after that, But I feel good. I feel great at 147. I feel strong.
And what do we need to do, man? I know interviews like this, but to get your name out there a little bit more and get you mentioned with the Boots, with the Ryan Garcias, the Devin Haney's.
I just need the same thing as when I fought Alexis Rocha, where I was the B side, and I was the underdog. I need an opportunity like that where they overlook me and I'm gonna come in and surprise them all. I need
Yeah.
one of these guys that already has a name to give me a shot. I need to get in the ring with one of these guys. So that's why I think it's very important for me to get that world title. Because once I hold that world title, a lot of these people are gonna want to come and get it. So that's when I'll get my opportunity to get these big names.
And I know you got the best matchmakers in the business, Brad Goodman, Bruce Trampler,
Absolutely.
behind you. So I'm sure they're going to put you in the right position. What should we expect? May 18th, back home, Pechanga on ESPN. It's a huge card. I mean, your co-feature with Navarrete. You got Richard Torres on there, former Olympian. I mean,
Yeah.
how exciting is that, and what should we expect?
It's a great card. I'm excited to be fighting alongside all of these other great fighters. My fight, I'm ready. I think it's going to be a great show. I think it's going to be a can't miss type of fight with two undefeated fighters that are fighting for a lot. A lot is on the line. So I've been very focused, and I've been in training camps since like February. Man, I've been training very hard. So I'm ready.
Should we predict a knockout like you did Rocha?
I believe I can get a knockout. I believe I can get the knockout this fight as well.
All right, man. You heard it. Giovani Santillan, WBO #1 ranked contender. You still got Crawford holding the belts, it looks like. But you got Boots Ennis, you got the guys from 140 moving up. You got a lot of options in front of you. Obviously,
Yeah.
not to overlook Brian Norman, May 18th. But man, it's good to meet you. And if I ever get to San Diego, I'll definitely look you up.
Yeah. Good to meet you too. Absolutely. Message me anytime you're here.
All right, man. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks.